What is a nomadic entrepreneur?
So great question. And I think it really kind of falls into two major categories: location independent entrepreneurs and digital nomads. So
Mm,
within I guess, the culture of location independent people moving around the world, they kind of fall into those two categories because you have digital nomads who are very often, though not always, single people without kids that can bounce very easily. They can move
mm,
from location to location. They can spend a month here, a month there, jump around, go where they want to go because they don't have children to deal with. And very often they're working, not all for sure, but they're often not managing a team of people where they really need the stability of a single place and a set up office and all of that. They can work from co working spaces relatively easily. And then you have location independent entrepreneurs, which is more like Kristen and I, that really need a professional setup, have our camera set up, our sitting standing desks because we're sitting and standing behind them for 8 hours a day or more. And while we are working from all across the world, we're not going a month here, a month there, etc. We're spending 6 months here, a year there, 2 years somewhere else. And we also have kids. And so kids need to be in school, they need some amount of stability, and it kind of falls into those two major categories. And I don't
yeah.
know if that really answers your question, like what is a nomad entrepreneur, but I think it's a good start. Do you have a follow-up question on it?
Yeah. Well, would you say you evolved from the first one to the second one?
We're always the second one. What do you think?
I think that we were the second one. We definitely went through like an evolution, but I think that we're always more of location independent entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since we met, I've been running different businesses, and so we definitely had our time before we had children where we could bounce around more. But when you have 5 or 6 hours a day of meetings, you're not, you're not going to a co-working space and doing that easily. Not when you do that, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So I would say it was easier without children, but for sure we were more on the location independent side.
And what about before you met?
Um, I would say that before we met, we were both like really interested in this lifestyle, but hadn't really like dove in yet. We had both traveled internationally, but not really like lived abroad or for like really extended periods. Um, but we both knew that that's what we wanted. And so, yeah, it was pretty soon after we met, like within a few months, that we took our first trip, actually to Mexico. And then our trips just started getting a little bit longer and a little bit farther with a few extra stops. So that's kind of how it evolved a little bit.
I,
Yeah.
I would say that prior to that, I I traveled a good bit in my early 20s and then sporadically throughout my 30s as well, or throughout my 20s and 30s as well, with sometimes with longer stops in places and, months abroad and that kind of thing. And I wanted to live this lifestyle a lot more, but it was just hard with the way the business was set up previously. And once I managed to get the business set up to where I could really just be gone, which coincided with the time that Kristen and I met, that was when it really changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wasn't
Now,
working remotely at that time either,
okay.
so I didn't really have like an avenue to be able to do it
Yeah.
previously.